The ultimate dancer has arrived, and we're going to talk about whether she brings dancers back into the meta. There's a lot of other toys to get into. We're going to jump right in and talk about Veyle, though, because, I mean, she has bunny ears. She's adorable. This is fantastic. We've got eggs flying everywhere. We've got a red tome horse hitting 4 times, which is important. Gentle Fell egg is very small. That was my first thought on this thing. Okay, we've got slang, we've got grants. Now this is stats, HP plus 5, attack and res plus 6. That is nice for what she does. At start of player phase or enemy phase, if unit is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants. And you've got AoE reduction by 80%, resonant blades and resonant shields to unit and allies within 2 spaces for 1 turn. Now, it's important that that is at both player and enemy phase. That means you're going to be able to use that in more places, specifically on defense. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, grants bonus to units. Attack res equals 20% of units res at start of combat. That's good. And deals damage equals 20% of units res, which is absolutely necessary because you have to have true damage right now. And unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack during combat. And also, if unit's res is greater than or equal to foe's res plus 10, unit attacks twice during combat. Okay. We have a history of these kind of conditional brave weapons not aging well. We've seen it a bunch of times, and I am a little bit afraid that that is the case with this one. It still is brave. Brave is good. But that is something to keep track of. You do want to look at all of the support that this unit is giving, though. AoE reduction is very, very good in the current meta. We have Crystalline Water to boost up the res for the reasons you just saw. Then we have Attack Res Far Resounded. This is an interesting skill. You have enables Canto remaining, minimum of 1. You have deals damage to unit as combat begins, and a lot of this is going to sound very familiar because this is basically resonance. Okay, you take away HP, you don't include legendary, mythic, or bonus effects, and it activates only when you're attacking, and burn damage doesn't apply to this. This is good stuff. Inflicts attack res minus 4 on foe. Unit deals damage equals unit's HP at start of combat minus current HP times 2, max 12. I mean, true damage is good, especially on a unit that's hitting 4 times, and then reduces. Basically, that's piercing there. Conditional piercing, obviously, but this is good stuff. So the fact that this is inheritable to calves, to tome calves, is something that's very powerful and something that they've needed. If you're looking to, pull back out Reinhardt, this is your chance. So on this unit, though, this is particularly good because of the way she's structured. We then have Fell Majesty. Here's where things get interesting. Now, so we have disables adaptive damage. If unit initiates combat or is within 2 spaces of an ally, inflicts attack res minus 5 on foe, reduces damage from foe's first attack by 7. So we have flat damage, and that includes brave. Grants special cooldown charge plus 1 to unit per attack during combat. So special acceleration. And also, if unit's res is greater than foe's res plus 5 and foe's attack can trigger foe special, inflicts special cooldown plus 1. So we have Scowl on the first hit and then Scowl on the second hit. We've seen double Scowl is very nice, but we have a lot of special jumping to counter that right now. So it's not as good as it once was. That's kind of Veyle's thing, and I was wondering if they were going to up the ante a bit, and I don't see that so much here. For allies within 2 spaces of a unit, grants attack defense plus 5 and reduces damage from foe's first attack by 7. But keep in mind that it's 2 allies within 2 spaces. And then we have for allies within 2 spaces of unit, if this unit's res is greater than or equal to allies foes res plus 5 at start of combat. Why do they make these so complicated? And if foe's attack can trigger foe special, you have inflicts special cooldown count plus 1 on foe before foe's first attack, and also if foe's range equals 2, you have it on the following. So a lot of the stuff that you got in the other one, you get in this one. This is good. This is something that would have been better before all the special jumping happened. We talked about it. A lot of this is conditional. I don't like conditional, especially on res right now. There are a lot of very high res nukes and tanks. And so sometimes that can backfire on you, and you really have to boost this unit up. Attack res far resound is definitely something to watch. Also, keep in mind this is still, well, you know what? We're talking. Let's look at the tier list. We're gonna hop over. I have this unit about in tier 1, and I say this every time we bring up the support hero tier list, but please, please, please. Support heroes, they're very, very good right now. Tier 2 has Freyr. So think about that. Now, tier 1, I do have Katria beating this unit out because I think giving out Brave is so powerful. But that's not to say this unit is bad. Tier 1 is still good. I don't think this unit is going to really be changing anything in the meta right now. I think she is very usable if she is your favorite, though. This is a lot of her gimmicks, though, have been countered for 2 reasons. One is that we have so much special jumping. 2, specials have been devalued a lot. And we're going to see that in this next unit coming up. But we have so many things that stop special damage from happening that they just aren't as good as they used to be. Right now you want true damage, you want a lot of it, and that's really where things are at this point. So one more thing we're going to look at, and I know I preach all the time about these showcases, but it is a little worrisome that it took this many hits to get a base Mer all the way down. And this doesn't even include Shield Fighter. I'm having a hard time with this unit's hitting power at this point. So I keep that in mind. Let's go ahead and move on to the next unit, though. Eitr was not on my bingo card. I did not expect to see this. I do love the little goat in the in the little pouch. That's fantastic. Okay, this is another unit that has an interesting use case, and we're gonna go over this. A lot of this you guys have seen before. This is slaying. Now, the support is better for foes within 3 rows and 3 columns centered on unit. Inflicts Omni -5 and special cooldown charge -1 on those foes per attack during combat. So you've got guard, but we have a lot of null guard right now. And also, if those foes have bonuses, it turns them into penalties, which is very good. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25%, grants bonuses to units' attack speed, defense res equals number of foes within 3 rows, 3 columns. Lots of stuff, max of 9, normally it will be 9, and then deals damage equals 20% of unit's speed, and then it excludes AoEs. Have to have true damage. I can't say it enough. That is a big, big deal, and this unit has the starting of it. We want layers upon layers of true damage. That is where we're at in the game right now. Past that, we have reduces damage from foes' first attack by 20% of unit speed. This is flat DR, and that includes Braves, and it restores 7 HP to unit after combat. That removes a possible use case with her of a Gale Force unit. That makes it much, much harder for us to use her in that regards. But you're almost not going to do that if the unit doesn't have follow-ups in the weapon. Like, that's where we're at this point. At start of turn, this is the Beast Clause. If unit transforms, you get attack +2, inflicts attack defense -X, X equals number of spaces. Basically, it's the Clash effect. Max of 6. And also, if X is greater than or equal to 5, reduces damage from foe's first attack by 30%. Pretty standard stuff. Nimble Beast is the beast skill based on speed, and it's very good on her. We want to move on, though. Nihility's Undoing is what we want to talk about. This is an A skill. The first part is making it easier to transform, and the next portion of that is making that easy to transform immediate in Aether raids, which is good on defense. I'm just not sure this is a defense unit, so doesn't hold as much weight. If unit is transformed or a foe's HP is greater than or equal to 75% at start of combat, grants Omni +X +8. So we're gonna scoot all the way down here, and X is based on number of spaces from start to end, and it's basically Clash. So we have 3 is basically what you're going to be working with most of the time. So it's Omni 11, which if you remember we talked about is a little bit low, but I guess this is in the A skill, but that's still, you normally want that to be 14. It's kind of the standard that they give you. Then we have reduces damage from foes attack by X, which we talked about as 3, times 4, which is 12 during combat. 12 flat DR is very good, and she has a lot of it stacked up in here, so that's nice. And also when foes attack triggers foes special, reduces damage. This is exactly what we're talking about. So you get additional flat DR of 12 based off of whether they proc a special or not. The devaluing of specials is kind of crazy right now. So the last piece of this, if unit is transformed or if foe's HP is greater than 75% at start of combat, grants special cooldown charge +1 to unit per attack. This is where you'd really want this unit as a Gale Force unit, but they have healing in the weapon for some reason, and we get 50% piercing. That's good. All of these are good things. The last piece here is Bestial Agility. We have enables Kanto remaining +1 minimum of 2 while transformed. If unit is transformed or unit's HP is greater than or equal to 25% at start of combat, inflicts speed defense -4 on foe and deals damage, true damage here, of 20% of the greater of unit's speed or defense. And also, if unit speed is greater than foe speed, neutralizes effects that guarantee follow-up. You know, this is no follow-up. So that's good. You get true damage and no follow-up in this weapon right here, along with some debuffs and Kanto. Beasts are going to love this. This is very, very good. But where does this unit rank? And so this is the hard thing. I'm going to put this unit in a melee nuke role. If you look at what these kind of units have done in the past, one of the neat things that they do is they go in and smack things and they're really hard to kill. With that amount of flat DR, this unit is going to be harder to kill. Your question is, where does this matter? There are a couple cases. ARD is one of them, but again, if she doesn't hit hard enough, that's tough. And she does hit medium hard. So I don't want you thinking that that's otherwise. I don't think there are enough daunts to really make a difference, and I don't think she does enough true damage for her to be just an elite nuke. And in that tier, we've got, of course, Hresvelgr and we've got Eitr. But I do think she falls into the tier 1 spot. And the thing about these units is they don't hit as hard as the tier 0 ones, but they do hit fairly hard, and they have something unique about them. Sigurd has the extra actions. Obviously, Felix also has extra actions. I think this unit's thing is survivability, and that's where do you rank that? I think what this unit brings to the table is better than Alphonse in some cases. There's a lot of supportive things in there, but I don't think this unit is lighting the world on fire either. That being said, just like Veyle, if this unit is your favorite, I think there are places where you can use her. I think the main one is going to be in Summoner Duels. I think that's where her biggest impact could be. Next up, we have Mae, and Mae's great. This is a green infantry tome. This is our demote on the banner, and you have Spring Air Egg Plus, and this is interesting. The biggest thing, you can read all of this. This has tempo and true damage, and we talked about how important true damage is, and it's a max of 20 true damage. If you combine this with other stuff like Brave and giving her additional true damage from things like the Sly skills, there are definitely things you can do with this tome if this is something that you want to revamp a unit with. This is very akin to, if you remember, Devoted Basket. Devoted Basket at the time had burn damage, which burn damage was the way everything ran at the time. So it made a lot of units very usable. I think this is going to be in that same vein, and honestly, this is a good tome. I like it. Magical No Follow-Up is good in some cases. I don't just run out and try to go get it, but this is not a bad thing at all, and it's a great thing to have on a 4-star in a seasonal banner, honestly. Overall, I'm pleased. I think they've done much better with the demotes lately, but I think we need to get on to the main part of the show. So Plumeria gets another harmonic, only this time she's the lead unit, and we have Olivia with her. So, I mean, that's good. So first up, we have Springing Spear, and we have Kanto remaining +1 minimum of 2 grants 3. But we need to stop right there and talk about the fact that this is a dancer with a melee weapon. That is important for Gale Force. We're going to go over a little more as to why that is more important as we go on, but that's already something worth noting. At start of turn, grants Canto 1 to allies within 2 spaces of unit for 1 turn, which is, we've talked about the power of Canto, but particularly what this unit is setting up for. That is a very, very good skill. For allies within 3 rows or 3 columns centered on unit, grants attack, defense, res +5, ally deals +10 damage, and grants special cooldown count -1 to ally before ally's first attack during their combat. We've already talked about how much special jumping is in the meta. This additionally gives out true damage to allies within 3 rows and 3 columns, and we talked about how important that is. If there is an ally within 3 rows and 3 columns centered on unit, inflicts penalty on foes, attack defense equals 20% of unit's res, start of combat +6, unit deals +10 damage, and reduces damage from foes' attacks by 10, and foe cannot make a follow-up attack during combat. All of this is good. This is great stuff. We're already starting off with a great support. We have Dreamlike Night. It's a dance. And if Canto has already been triggered by target ally, it re-enables it and inflicts attack, defense, res -7, frozen, and sabotage on closest foes to target ally and any foes within 2 spaces of those foes through their next actions. Okay. So remember, this is mid-turn. We are throwing out debuffs, frozen, and sabotage mid-turn. That's very, very important and very valuable in certain modes. Then we have Stronghold, attack -3, grants defense res -3. You guys have seen this a ton. Let's move on. What else do we have here? We have defense res Discord, which we've seen this before. Throwing out Discord is fantastic. This unit is just debuffing the ever-loving crap out of the opponent. And then we have Shadow Smite 4. And I know folks were joking about this coming out, but I'm excited about this. This is a good skill. When Canto triggers, enables unit to use Smite on ally. You guys have seen how this works. Smite is something that can be really, really valuable if you're doing any sort of player phase shenanigans. That is a big, big deal. If unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, grants attack speed, defense res +3 to unit during combat, and restores 7 HP to unit after combat. You hate that. Like the healing is terrible. I don't understand why they would put that on there, but still, that is really interesting. We're going to get to the harmonic skill though, because we've already got a lot of good stuff here. Moving on. All right. She dances Eitr because if she tried to kill Eitr, she would fail miserably. We have the harmonized skill of grants resonant blades to unit and allies from the same title as unit for 1 turn. If unit has not entered combat on the current turn, grants another action to unit. And if Canto has already been triggered, re-enables Canto. So this unit is going to be able to get a lot of actions. So we have a dance, a harmonic dance, an attack. And if you Gale Force, you get another attack. That is a possible 4 actions on this unit. This is not going to be a front of the line Gale Force unit. But seriously, this is very, very interesting. So I just keep your eye on this unit. Let's look at the tier list, actually. Let's hop over there. Okay.
But I'm begging you.
This is probably going to be a little controversial, and let me explain why. So dancers in general aren't the unit that you have on every single team. And they haven't been for a bit. If you think about things like ARD, things like Summoner Duels, you really want units that can refresh themselves. They generally have better attack. They do a lot of good. dancers originally, the thing that they were great at is they were good at taking your best unit and letting you use them again. That's the whole thing. So you don't have to spend a ton of orbs on yet another unit. Instead, you have that unit and you get to act again. And for this one in particular, you get to act once again after that. But we're at a point where it's very hard to have one unit that just destroys everything. That was the case a while back, but as right now you do really want 1-2 punches, things that are complementary, and that's in all modes, to be honest. The thing you want to look at, though, the place where we're having the most trouble, and I say we because I've seen a lot of you guys' complaints from everyone about Arena. This is a really good Arena unit that can help you a ton. We've got to look at the scoring, but I imagine she scores high enough. She's got a preference dance. There are going to be a lot of fun things you can do with her there. The other place, she can absolutely contribute on AR offense. And the reason is you have so many units. You have a possible 7 units now. This unit can come in and help you out a ton, along with adding extra true damage to hits. I'm looking forward to this unit, but I'm kind of a sucker for dancers. So when I talk about this tier 0, understand that is in the case of Arena and in the case of AR offense. And that's really it. This unit is not going to be an ARD or an SD juggernaut. It's just not the way it's going to be. Someone will get her to work, and that'll be a lot of fun. But in general, the places where this unit is going to shine is Arena, AR offense, and Resonant Battles. I mean, this unit is going to be fantastic in Resonant Battles. I haven't heard too many people struggling with that mode quite like I've heard them struggle with Arena, and giving extra true damage can really help versus the snakes, and I know everyone is struggling with those, as well as Marnie as well, but this is a unit that can really help in those modes. So if you'd like to see more of my content, I have a link right here. Go check it out. Members, you are amazing. Thank you for all you do. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.